I would try to get there. I'm trying to say, if you want to get to point A to point B, you got them going to the fetus. So you incrementally get them back to saying, well, look, 24 weeks, look, this is a viable child. Okay. Once you get them to 24 weeks and they understand that this is a child, oh, look, they got brain function, heart function at 20 weeks, and their little bodies are completely developed. Then you try to get them to almost to the point of conception and implantation. That's going to be the hardest part. You don't jump from 9 months to implantation because they've already taken the left and they're way past that. So
and you're not
that would shock the system. So you have to go further. You have to do it incrementally. People do not like rapid change. It just scares the mess out of them.
You know, Stephan, you're right, because that is what we faced in 2009, and how the Tea Party got started is all the radical things they were starting. Flip that backwards, it still works the same way. People still react strongly to really quick change that's wild. That's why Andy's incremental plan on Obamacare is so beautiful. But also, when you're talking, say, about abortion, you're not trying to convert the leftists. They're already going to have that all abortion, all the time, on demand, whatever, free, even in some cases. I've seen those protests. But you're talking to the people in the audience, the people who don't think about this day in and day out. You're talking to the people who might just not have ever thought about those things. I read a story where a woman was flipping through some images of gestation stages on her computer, and her roommate came and looked over her shoulder. What are you looking at? And she just told her, this is for my class. It's the stages of gestation of a baby. And the woman was frozen for a moment, and she said, wow, that's a person. Even way back in early gestation. Leslie had another one. I want Leslie to talk about a social media share that she did on G+ that was just beautiful about gestation.
Oh, that was pretty interesting, and it was even in I think it was even in a Mashable article. I saw it again this morning. Mashable had an article of GIFs that were examples of really awesome GIFs that were not cats, and this was one of them. And it shows a human being going from a single cell all the way through birth, and it's an animated spiral, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful, and it's a great example of how great GIFs can be to teach science. And it was shared by the head of G+, Dave Besbry, or however you pronounce his name. Most of what he shares is photographs that he's taken. He saw that GIF, thought it was awesome, and he shared it to his hundreds of thousands of followers. That's the way we change hearts and minds, because you can't look at that thing and not see that it is in fact a human being from a single cell, a single fertilized cell all the way through. It was awesome.
And that's just so neat because it gets people thinking. I've had two instances going along with what you're saying and with what Stephan is saying with coworkers. A few years ago, we were talking about abortion. It just came up randomly. I don't even remember how. But I brought up partial birth abortion, and my coworker didn't know what it was, and I just briefly explained what it was. She was horrified. She's like,
she's heard that phrase, partial birth abortion, and it just goes right past you. You don't really think about it.
Had no idea what it was, and once she heard what it was, she was horrified that we would allow something like that to happen. It was a fantastic chance to start a conversation. Another coworker of mine, we were talking about the law that they tried to pass or maybe they did pass it, to provide medical help to babies that survived abortions. Again, horrified. Babies can survive an abortion? That really happens? And so by starting with those things that are just no-brainers to people, why wouldn't you want to help a baby? You can start that conversation and then work it backwards until you can get to the point of asking, well, when does it become a life?
You know, another thing I like to do is say, hey, before we even look at whether or not it's a human life or all this, I want you to look at your own motives and ask yourself this: do I believe that the unborn are not human lives because of evidence, or because it's convenient to believe that, because it's going to be better for me? Why do you believe that they are not human lives, if you believe that? And I'm not saying this to judge you. I'm asking you to look. You decide for yourself. You look at your own motives, and you decide, is it because of evidence or convenience?
But shocker of shockers, the leftist media caged animals back against the wall getting vicious. They twisted it and they put a purposefully deceptive headline on it. And what's very disappointing is that our side ran with it.